And we are live from the South Boston Speedway as the race start gets underway with a 60 to Matt Cocker. He's your race leader as we take lap number 59 of 250 into the South Boston 250. Happy that you're with us. LSR TV's coverage of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series. A little bit of technical difficulties get it underway, but we're happy that you're with us on your home for sim racing and the iRacing Sports Network. A couple of early caution flags have sent 4 drivers behind the wall. But the driver out in front of the field right now, Matt Cocker, has led from pole position, so he continues to pace the way just past 1/5 distance. Andrew Fayash, the third, tucked in on in the number 2 spots, picked up a couple of positions, and so has Gabe Wood. They are your top 3 at the moment. And Driven, we've been, of course, monitoring how the racing's been going so far early on in this race. We even discussed it last week at the end of the race from Gateway. It's a very tight racetrack. There's not a lot of space for these big, heavy trucks, and we've seen some of that play into effect already early this evening. You see Fayash trying to go can't make it stick down on the inside.
Matt Cocker has absolutely been dominating this race tonight. You know, it's a tight racetrack, as you have pointed out, and these drivers are trying everything to do to pass each other on the track, but it's just such a tight racetrack, they just can't do it. So Andrew Fayash has been trying over the green flag runs that we've been having. He has
aren't necessarily driving way down on the inside of the racetrack. They are
ranges up in the top 10, other than really getting the
up to 2 lanes in the center of the quarter. Andrew Fayash noticeably higher up the hill than what we saw to Matt Cocker the last couple of times by. And your top 2 have really
to go. You're going to have to sail it into that corner and try and hope for the best. You know, the number 9 of William Kemp is doing, or excuse me, that's the number 9 of Josh Dietz, just doing everything that he can to get around William Kemp. And, you know, it's just trying so hard, and, you know, he's been doing that a lot. I saw him go 3 wide on the restart with John Theodore, and I believe it was the number 50 or 84 of, oh yeah, John Theodore, and then the number 53 of Austin Coop, excuse me, and he worked out, but, you know, he's just trying to get everything that he can, and the quickest possible thing is we have a caution come out in the Speedway.
Caution flag is out, and there is a ton of smoke at the back of the pack. Brad Carpenter is one of the drivers who is heavily torn up and will limp down to the pit lane. This is his incident at lap number 70. The LSR TV replay will show that he just got sideways coming off of quarter number 2, and kind of like a place like Dover with that inside wall being right down on the inside. There's no flat apron before you get there. He smacks the wall, comes back up, and it's that big hit driven with Will Dravicki. He also gets into him. Those are the 2 trucks who got a lot of damage, and both of them showing major engine damage as that black smoke pours out of the back of both of those Chevys. They are going to have to limp down to the pit lane and try to get them serviced, but certainly a tough break for somebody like a Brad Carpenter who kicked that one off. That's his second cause caution of the evening, so his night is done.
And Will Dravicki as well takes it behind the wall, obviously with a lot of engine damage. It is hard to come back from that. And you know that, again, this is going to be a big topic of discussion tonight. A tight racetrack, you know, you're going to see a car in front of you crashing. You have nowhere else to go. You cannot act quickly enough to avoid that wreck. So he's going to be in front of you, and you have nowhere else to go except right into that car. And we saw the exact same thing happen with Will Dravicki. Unfortunately, that ended his night. Just 74 laps into this event.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go in this one. 250 laps on the short track at Sobos, so we missed about the opening 5th of this one, but certainly the critical portions of this race are still to come. Also want to explain some of the formatting for this one, and there have been a good amount of caution flags early on, so we'll let you know if anything changes, but the plan at the moment is that there will be a competition caution at the halfway point. That would come at lap 122. That would be the only time that drivers are allowed on pit lane to get tires. You can come in and get fuel all you want if so desire, but no tires are available to the drivers onto the pit lane. We always have X amount of sets available per week. It is 0 this week, but you can come down and get 4 at that midway race break, assuming that still does happen. We'll wait to see if that's going to be the case, but it is round 15 on the season. Trevor, to coming into tonight, Christian Peterson leads in the championship standings, 38 points ahead of Seth the Merchant, who appears to have missed another start in this one. Tyler Dalton, James Krahula, and William Kemp, your top drivers. Peterson, DeMerchant, Dalton, all with race wins. fourth on the back of the points. Nobody with a race win for those drivers. So certainly curious to see as we start to work into the second half of this 2018 American Pool Supply Truck Series campaign, if we can start to see some other drivers come through and get a race win. Pace car down and in, green flag back in the air, and Matt Cocker get enough topside to lead to turn one.
And here we go down into the backstretch again, and you have a little bit of contact back there with the 06 of Jared Campbell and Tyler Dalton. They sort each other out, and you know, Robin's racing here, and a little bit of bent up sheet metal at the end of the race doesn't really mind each other. And we have another little incident happening, but you know, sorting each other out. The 06 getting up against Josh Dietz, still able to get around, and Austin Coop right in front, or right behind that action.
Nick Campbell got checked up a little bit off of the corner. He gets some back-end damage in that one, and ended on to Josh Dietz that you saw. He missed the corner. That's why he ended up with a right-hand saw to Campbell, pushed it way up the hill, and was able to kind of bring it back in, but he does end up losing that position to the 19 machine after being able to hang on to the 06, so he only falls to what is going to be 6th position at the moment. You got Campbell still trying to work on the inside of the racetrack. The big thing to watch here is, are those top two cars going to be able to pull away once more? Cocker preferring that outside line, allows Fayash to get a nose to the inside, center of the quarter like we are right here at 1 and 2. The run off the corner is why Cocker is so good. But on that last green flag run, Trevin, these top two trucks pulled over a second and a half away from everybody else, and it is the 88 of Gabe Wood back in 3rd position to make sure that that does not happen again. That 3rd place truck trying to bridge the gap, and he's doing a good job of hanging with him.
Yeah, and you know, and Andrew Fayash again just trying that low lane, and Matt Cocker staying in that high side. Now Andrew Fayash gets a little bit to the quarter panel, but not able to get there as we have another caution on the Speedway, Evan.
Another caution flag, and again it comes towards the back of the pack. Todd Novosad is turned around, but I don't think he was the initial incident. That was Tom Morano in the number 48 Toyota Tundra. So we talk about how it's a rough and tough racetrack. There's not a lot of room, but a lot of single car wrecks tonight. Another one for Morano there. Just went off into turn 3, got loose on his own, spun it out and saved it. Novosad spun out just simply locking up the brakes, trying to avoid what he thought could have gotten into a big mess in the center of the quarter. So back-to-back single truck spins slow us down again at lap number 84.
Yeah, and all these drivers just are trying their best to do everything, but this is a different kind of track for these kind of trucks. You know, we saw the older trucks on this track, and they were working good, but really this is not something that you'd see at this kind of track that you're pointing out, you know, the heaviness of this truck and just the different kind of style that they're running. And, you know, these drivers are trying to adjust to that as possible. You know, we were talking to some drivers pre-race, and during qualifying they were saying that they were really tight in the corners, and, you know, these drivers just have to adapt to that and be able to overcome that, and they only have one set of tires in the pits. So that also becomes a key factor into this race.
Certainly is a reason to, you know, the kind of racing that we've seen thus far. And again, these short track races, always fun. It's, I think, one of the best things about this American Pool Supply Truck Series, the fact that you have your typical truck tracks, a place like a Gateway that you'll see on the calendar, Eldora's and the Most Sports, and, you know, those tracks of the world. But then you also, we mix it up and we go to some of the other tracks, like, you know, Sobo here tonight, like later on in the season, Irwindale, New Smyrna back-to-back, the Bull Ring at Las Vegas, Rockingham to close out the year. I think it's a very fun combination of different tracks, and certainly, as we noted, round 15 on the night. Once we make up Iowa and Milwaukee from earlier in the year, we are technically starting the second half of the season here this evening. So if you haven't been tuned in on Sundays, some excitement here still to come. You saw on the look of the points the last time by, a mere 30 separate first and second in the championship. Although without Seth the Merchant on the racetrack tonight, it looks like that gap will go in favor of Christian Peterson. Should be no changes towards the front of the field, so it'll be still that 38-point difference. Maybe somebody like a Tyler Dalton right now running P5 with top 2 in the points not here this evening. Maybe he can make something happen. He'll be restarting on the inside of row number 3. Pace car going to be back down at 8 once again. No surprise, Matt Cocker wants the outside of the racetrack. Fayash has been trying so hard on the inside. We'll see if the 77 can make something happen. 2x2 this time. Green flag back in the air.
Definitely a better start from Matt Cocker. Andrew Fayash now going to have to defend his position against Jeremy Adams going into turn number 1. Now coming down the back stretch. Josh Dietz and Gabe Woods there to capitalize if something does happen. Nothing is happening so far. 89 of Jeremy Adams still on the outside of him, Evan.
He's still on the outside of him, and Jeremy Adams trying to use that outside of the second row restarting position to make something happen. Cannot do it. Fayash clears that time down the back straightaway. So now the 80 machine of Adams gets caught off. No longer is he trying to get to the outside of the 77. He's pinned on the inside of the 9. Josh Dietz, one of your bigger movers this evening. He's already up 8. He wants another spot, and he's powering on the outside of the racetrack. The 89 doing a good job of fighting back, but Dietz, good run off of 4, and he's got him.
Here we go, still battling it out behind him as well. The 19 of Tyler Dalton and Gabriel Wood side by side going down the backstretch and now into turn number 3 and 4. Still holding it tough each other, and Gabriel Wood's going to go below that yellow line. That's acceptable here at Sobo. So, you know, it's just a lot of action about using every single part of this racetrack, but not getting into those tire barriers coming off in turn number 4, Evan.
Yeah, coming off of turn number 4 is where the battle is, and Gabe Wood's gone up and down a couple of spots. Remember on that last stint, he was in 3rd, dropped back a little bit. He'll have to go through another restart because there's another caution flag. And again, it's a car towards the back of the pack. This time the 3rd over to Gary Sexton. Again, all on his own. A 3rd straight single truck spin.
And, you know, that just, again, you know, just trying to adapt to this kind of different surface, different kind of track layout. It's less than half a mile, Evan. So these drivers are turning left constantly and only getting maybe a half a second to breathe going down the backstretch. And even then, you're kind of just getting yourself ready for that next set of corners and just trying to continue to get into that rhythm. But sometimes you're going to push it a little bit too hard and you're going to go around.
So what we'll do is we'll take a quick opportunity to step aside, come back to Sobo in just a moment. Matt Cocker leads past 1/3 distance. You're watching the CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series on your home for sim racing at the iRacing Esports Network.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Go. Back live under the green flag conditions, and it is Matt Cocker controlling successfully once again on the outside of the racetrack. Is now lap number 100 complete. 150 still to go. Quick caution again from the back. The 06 of Gerald Campbell is around, and again all on his own.
The 09 was coming down the front stretch off of turn number 4, got loose a little bit, and he just couldn't hold it going down, got to the inside wall, and just absolute calamity happened behind him. But, you know, that just goes along with this short, little thin part of the racetrack. You just go off the wall, and you're back up into traffic, especially when you're in front of the whole entire field, Evan.
In front of the field doesn't make things any easier, and certainly, maybe fortunately enough, back in the pack for the first spinning truck, caution was not triggered for Campbell, so he's going to be okay. The caution was actually triggered, as you mentioned, when the 09 came up and he tagged at 3 of John Mignacca, who really had nowhere to go. And fortunately, more cars than just that involved. The 5 machine, it looks like he almost spun out on his own, just trying to get on the brakes to avoid it. You just lock it up, and that truck hooks to the left. And again, in most tracks, there's an apron there, there's grass down there, you spin out, and I mean, it's not the greatest result in the world, but the world keeps spinning. But at a racetrack like this, you got a concrete wall to your right, a concrete wall to your left. Very little opportunities for drivers to be able to avoid big incidents like that.
Yeah, and some drivers just need to continue to, press on, and, you're starting to see the wear of the tires going down, and, you just got to make sure that your truck is staying under you and you're able to control it. But, sometimes it's just a little bit too hard, and, tire degradation is a big thing at a track like this. You're always turning. It's such a constant turn. You got some banking to help you, but still, when you're turning every few seconds, it does not go well with the tires, Evan.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier up until we get to that halfway point, and it's control just talking over the right now, confirming that at 122, that's when the caution flag is going to come out. Mandatory pit stop. You can't just decide to stay out and not come in, because it'll also serve as a brief 4 or 5 minute break, so drivers can not only try to get some fresh tires, which is their only opportunity to do so. If you want, you can get fuel, but I think the big thing is, especially for the mid-pack trucks, is use those 4 minutes to get some damage repaired if you got any.
Yeah, and you're going to have some damage on a kind of race like this. It goes with any kind of short track, but, major damage that will become a factor. But if you have a little bit of bent up sheet metal, it's a short track. Aerodynamics are not really a big deal, as long as you can break this car into the turn and make sure that it's going to be able to, send it into the corner and hopefully make a pass. You're good.
We'll see how drivers want to react to this next run. They do have a short stint of about 16 laps. Still, we get to the halfway point, and if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So Matt Cucker again, oh so good on the outside of the racetrack. Quickly down to the bottom, it's going to be Cucker, Fayash, and then the Indiana sheet of Adams, 1, 2, and 3 on track. Josh Dietz win it out in the battle for 4th as they almost go 3 wide. Gabe Wood trying to push to the inside. Can't make it stick. We'll see if he goes for P4, if he decides to tuck up in line. Make sure the 19 of Tyler Dalton can't get to him, and that's exactly what he'll do.
And all these drivers really enjoy going 3 wide, as we see the number 9 of William Kemp, or Josh Dietz, get a little bit sideways going to that corner, but they really like to see an opening, and then they immediately go 3 wide, and they hold it pretty well. So I tip a hat to them. But again, that's just what causes a big wreck. But so far so good, as now we have another caution.
Quick caution once again, and as we find the source of this one, a couple of trucks around on the back straightaway. Tom Moreno is one of the first ones, but this one started real big in front of him. Bo Givens in the 07 dove down to the inside of the 13 to Ricky Harden. It was side by side for P10, and the 07 just got in way too hard, and Harden first avoided the incident, and then I think he got involved, but the 07 came back down. Another case of a small bit of contact snowballing into a 4 or 5 truck incident.
Yeah, and Bo Givens was doing such a great job going up through the field. He was the last car on the lap down earlier, and then he worked his way up to about 3 or 4 positions, and now this, he's dropping back a little bit more, now a lap down. So really just shows how quickly your night can change tonight here, Evan.
Certainly shows you how quick things can flip around. A couple more drivers going to get waved back to the race lead in this one. Race lead lap, I should say. Moreno Paulson going to get a lap back, but unfortunately for Bo Givens, his night is done. He'll join Henley, Lyde, Tungate, Watkins, now Dravicki, Carpenter, and Givens as the drivers who are currently out of this race. William Kemp, a couple of laps down, still on track, so sitting on the pit lane, I should say. So it's not officially a retirement at this point, but certainly starting to see some drivers drop out of this as Race Control once again lets the drivers know what the options are tire-wise when they come down to the pit lane now in less than 10 laps.
Yeah, and this is what I love about this series. I point it out every single week because I just love that they implemented this. They give you a limited amount of tires that you have to work with. every single race, and it just really goes off of what kind of track this is. Tonight it's one set of tires, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. I just love how they limit themselves to the kind of tires. It really adds an extra sense of, strategy to conserve those tires for the end.
And it gives them a good idea of, hey, I can really start to eat my tires up now. If you're Matt Cucker, no reason to hold back. You're going to get fresh ones very shortly. No need to baby him on the restart. Your concern is to maintain your race leading position through the next 8 laps. Lights out on top of the pace car again. We did see some single file restarts earlier on in the race. This one's going to be double file once more as we complete now 114 laps from Sobo. Green flag back in the air, and it's old Cucker to turn 1. The fight's going to be for third. The inside is Jeremy Adams, but Josh Dietz going to give him a run for his money.
Yeah, Josh Dietz has really been loose coming off the corner, so we'll have to watch for that. He's hanging tough for a second. He was a little bit loose coming off the turn number 2, able to clear Jeremy Adams for the moment. I see Austin Coop also battling for position a little bit as they straighten themselves out, going down the backstretch. Single file out for now until we get back to Austin Coop, who's battling with that number 19 of Tyler Dalton.
Battling with that 19 of Tyler Dalton, who is trying to get to the inside of Coop. Coop's had a little bit of an up and down night after starting in third position. He's trying to get himself back into the mix, but might just run out of time here as we close in on that midway race point. Side by side to the back half of the top 10, it's John Theodore and Matthew Murphy, and it is a spirited battle right now for what's going to be 8th and 9th.
Yeah, and they're just continuing to fight, and they know that they can use their tires up, as you were saying. We only got a couple more laps until that halfway break, so the 87 of Matthew Murphy using those tires up underneath John Theodore, still going down on the bottom side. Almost got a little bit loose, almost contacting the 84 machine, able to go into the side, and now that leaves the door open for the 06 of Jared Campbell to get around John Theodore.
Trying to get around Theodore, and the 06 machine is in a position to now where, as Theodore is able to get on by, he's pinned down on the bottom lane of the racetrack as they run right now. We'll see if anything else comes from this one as we get into the windy laps. I think next time by is when the competition caution's going to fly, so Campbell really trying to dig on the inside of Theodore, cannot do it. The 84 gets on by. John Bignacca wants to make a charge. It's not going to happen. There is your midway break caution at lap 122.
And these drivers are breathing a sigh of relief. It was really hectic, but none of them were wrecking. That's amazing feat. We only have 16 cars on the lead lap right now. The last one is Todd Novosad. But, these drivers for sure knew how much time they had left and, how much tire they had left, so they used it all up right there, Evan.
The drivers going to line up single file. Pit road is going to open. One thing to keep in mind is you do have an option what do you want to do with tires, but I believe the running order is not going to change. So the running order at the point of caution is going to be the order in which everybody rejoins the racetrack in. So if I'm you, come down, get your 4 tires, and as well, again, have an opportunity to fix any of the damage. The race leaders look pretty clean, though, so that's not something they have to worry about as we take the long way around to the pit lane. And race leaders to the front straightaway, fully expecting Cucker takes the advantage of the 4, Trevin, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you just got to remember, how these drivers are going to see, and these drivers get to build their own, get their own repairs, and hopefully it gives them a little bit of a better confidence going into the next few parts of this race. And these drivers just need to settle, buckle down, and get ready to go for these final 122 laps.
So everybody's going to come to a stop, and what that's also going to do is obviously the 5 minutes are on the clock, so these drivers are going to have the opportunity to get that damage fixed. It did look like, though, everybody up at the front of the field did take those 4 tires, Trevin, so not at all surprised in that one. So for them, it's more of a water break, stand up, stretch your legs out a little bit, whereas some of the other drivers might have to be worried about trying to get some damage fixed, which is something that your race leaders had the luxury of not really having to deal with so far. We've seen a lot of incidents, but most of the time we're looking to the back to find where it's happened.
Yeah, and these drivers up front have been racing so clean, especially Matt Cucker and Andrew Fayash, not really getting into each other hard than they need to be. So, great job by them. 4 tires for everybody. Great call, and I wasn't really expecting for anything else. A track like this, so hard on the tires, and, especially now they're getting to stand up. I'm sure it's really hard on their shoulders and arms going through the corner and having that force feedback on.
And it looks like maybe there was an issue with Austin Coop's entry because his machine is no longer appearing down onto the pit lane. So we will see if that's going to be an issue with him, if he's going to be allowed to, or if he's able to, I guess I first should say, able to get back onto the racetrack, get back at a spot, or at that point, if it would be some sort of a penalty if he's able to get back in. But certainly Austin Coop came down to the pit lane and is no longer on the racetrack. So we'll see if anything comes from that. But, Trevin, 16 cars total right now scored on the lead lap. It's all the way up from Cucker down to Todd Novosad. If you're somebody like Paulson, maybe, who has been in and around some of the incidents, even if you're that 13 machine, I think Ricky Harden's back end damage, one of the more visibly roughed up trucks, you're certainly enjoying this midway break, which isn't something that you get the luxury of having every single week. We talk about the tire limit. Some weeks it's no tires at all, and that's just the rule. Sometimes you get 3 sets, and sometimes we mix it up like tonight at Sobo, and you have a pretty clear-cut midway break in this race. So certainly different throughout the weeks if maybe this is your first time joining us on LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Definitely not a regular thing every single week.
Yeah, and, again, it just goes along with changing everything up from your traditional truck series. We're going to tracks that aren't really traditional. Earlier on, we had Knoxville in the season. Now we have South Boston. Still plenty of more races like this to come. We have the Bull Ring in Las Vegas coming up soon. Rockingham Speedway to close out the season that we don't run at anymore in NASCAR. So, just great stuff going on. But always such fun, and these drivers all know that the 2 top point standings contenders, Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant, are not in this race. So these drivers know that it's a good night to get some points on them.
It's a good night to make up some points. It's not going to do a ton, but it is certainly going to do just a little bit. What reminds you, coverage of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSR TV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on the pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself a basic download for free or buy the full pro version today. All that information and more at joel-real-timing.com for more information on that. And just saw that Austin Coop was able to get that car back on track. We've got the driver, the 53 machine, on the radio now. Coop, it's been a little bit of an up and down night for you. You started in 3rd, dropped back a little bit. Just tell us how it's gone so far.
Well, I had got loose out of turn number 4 and hit the inside wall, and I thought I had an engine issue. I don't know if I do or don't anymore. Just kind of trying to do as much as I can. It doesn't feel like it's the wheels are spinning as much out of the corners, but just had an internet issue as well during that break. So come back from that and trying to just claw my way back as much as possible. It's been up and down basically as we're getting close to coming back out.
Based on the fact that we've gone halfway through this race, you kind of figured out, how the pace is going to be, spins in the back, some of the bigger wrecks towards the back of the pack. How key is it going to be for you to try to stay up front, and what do you see the path to victory as this evening?
For me, the bottom. Everyone's going to the top, and I think what that's going to do is free at the bottom for me, and I'm really going to like that. That's just me, though. I know a lot of these other guys have different plans, and if I stay in the bottom and everyone else is at the top, I'm going to have a lot of fun, I know, because then no one's going to be in my way.
We'll let you jet out of here. Trucks are rolling. Cooper, we appreciate the time, and good luck here.
Thank you.
We'll also see if we can get the driver of the number 60 Autobahn, Matt Cucker, on the radio real quickly as he rolls to the end of the pit lane and they get everybody else in the correct order behind him. Matt, you got a copy?
I got you.
Hey, we appreciate you giving us a second here under this midway break. You've started up front. You run up front right now, halfway home as you look for another opportunity to win here on a Sunday evening. I know Fayash is kind of an all over you here, and looks like Adams and Gabe and some of those other drivers are doing a good job of pitching a tent and camping out behind you. But so far, they can't get to you. So what's the key been so far?
The key right now has been, the first half here has been saving tires. I've just been trying to roll the top and been trying different things. In that last couple of restarts, I was running the inside and I was actually pretty fast, but it definitely was a little bit looser down there. So that's why I tried to gravitate back toward the middle, and hopefully Andrew doesn't have the run on the inside like he's been running, but we'll probably take the outside again here on the restart and fly.
It looked like you really weren't all that concerned the fact that he was getting down on the bottom of the racetrack. Is that something that's going to change if you see he has speed down there? Are you going to adjust your line to try to defend, or are you really just going to worry about yourself and stick to the top if it continues to be fast?
It's definitely it's a toss-up here. I mean, this track is you really got to run where the track is, like where it's got the most grip. And sometimes, yeah, you have to block. But I mean, I'm probably going to try to stay to the top to save the tires. But we'll find out, and if it comes to it where I got to move around, hey, it's what we got to do to get the win.
I think you guys are going to get going here. Before we let you jump, anybody want to say hi to real quick?
Just everyone watching. You guys are putting on the show. I mean, it's always fun here. We'll see what happens. Thanks for talking.
We appreciate the time, Matt. Hopefully, for your sake, we'll be chatting in about another hour from now. We'll let you get back to the team radio. Good luck.
All right, thank you. I hope so.
Restart going to be coming up pretty much right on the money, Trevor, with 125 down, 125 to go. Right now, we sit under this midway red flag condition at lap 124. So by the time we restart, we should be able to basically take the second half from that point and run with it. And interesting that Coop says he likes the inside of the racetrack from P4. Matt Carker likes the outside of the racetrack for the race lead. The only thing that's going to change as this run continues on is more rubber and more options for these drivers. So this could shape out to be very interesting if somebody like a Fayash can make that opposite groove work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this goes along with, just the kind of track that we're running. And, they all have the same setup on. So it just really driver preference and what they can do with their car to set themselves apart from the others as we're now we're rolling and getting ready to go back green, Evan.
Certainly getting ready to go back into green flag conditions. Driver's going to double up and get set for the restart. And again, no changes from the running order that we were on at the moment of the caution, which is why the advisable decision was certainly for everybody to come down and just take all 4 of those available tires and to just simply kind of maintain your position and practically hit the reset button now. Everybody's got fresh tires. If your truck is repairable in any sense of the imagination, it's probably as good as it's going to get as the lights go out on top of the virtual pace car, literally this time around, as the 69 machine is going to have an opportunity to control the restart once more. Fayash to the inside of the front row second. Adams Dietz 3-4. Gabe Wood and Austin Coop auto row 3. Murphy Dalton row 4. Theodore Campbell round out your top 10. Green flag back in the air halfway from Sobo.
None of those drivers have to worry about tire spin since they have fresh tires. They're all going to be using them up pretty soon. So all drivers just need to get their spots where they can get them. The number 9 of Josh Dietz and Jeremy Adams battling side by side with Coop and Gabriel Wood right behind them. Matt Cucker and Andrew Fayash in the land of their own, starting to pull a little bit of a gap on them. They need to sort themselves out if they want to be able to catch those top 2 contenders, Evan.
They want to try to bridge the gap. We saw Gabe Wood doing a good job of that earlier. He's back in traffic, and right now Jeremy Adams in third is already a second off. So the race leaders certainly just get going out of the gate so quick. There's a lot of contact. That one was with Dietz and Gabe Wood at a fight for 4th and 5th position. 9 pushed up into the 88. Wood went high, and he tries to get back at him there. I think his first concern needs to be holding off Austin Coop, who is on his preferred lane on the inside of the racetrack. But Gabe Wood certainly didn't like getting roughed up. If he gets back to Dietz, would not be surprised if he repays that favor.
I don't think anybody would like to get roughed up that hard into the corner. It makes it run off of your own lane, and you see him diving it hard into the close proximity of Josh Dietz. I'm sure he sees him as the Austin Coop gets into the back bumper of him a little bit, able to save it for the most part, and still going straight as now the 88 of Gabriel Wood passes the 53 of Austin Coop. Now 88 Gabriel Wood under Josh Dietz, going towards the start-finish line, Evan.
You headed towards the start-finish line on the racetrack right now, but it's still Cucker, Fayash, Adams, Dietz, and that fight, Dietz and Wood, for 4th and 5th position. You continue to sit around and see if something exciting is going to happen in that group. 16 cars total, still scored on the lead lap, but in fact, single file everywhere, but the battle with maybe Wood and Dietz, if you want to consider Renault sitting inside side by side, and Fayash continuing to go to the inside of Matt Cucker, so the other time you're side by side for the race lead, want to keep an eye on that for certain, but Fayash has been to the inside of practically every quarter for the last 50 laps around this racetrack and has yet to be able to make the move, so something tells me Gabe Wood's got a better chance on Dietz right now.
Yeah, and you know, these drivers just continue to run their preferred lines. They know where they're fast at. Jeremy Adams up top, Gabriel Wood, Austin Coop on the bottom side. So, you know, both of these lines coming into play because they're able to hold off each and every single driver going around. If, you know, these drivers just need to continue to battle it out.
All you got to do, just keep on grinding. Again, the lap's going to continue to wind down into the second half of this South Boston 250. Wood also needs to keep an eye on a Coop behind him as the battle for the race lead once again heating up. That 60 dot of Matt Cucker continuing to run that preferred groove, couple of lanes up off of the bottom of the racetrack, and so far Fayash hasn't been able to find a little bit extra to make it stick. Again, he gets there every time. He might even keep a nose on the quarter panel like he did that time down the front straightaway. But Matt Cucker, I don't think he's too stressed at the moment, and I don't think that 77 Fayash driven either is giving it 100%. I think he just likes the inside. He wants to keep constant pressure on Cucker and maybe even forced a mistake out of him. But despite the fact that, yes, we are side by side for the race lead, I don't think either of these drivers quite yet at 110%.
You are absolutely correct. Each driver is pushing it, but not to their complete limit because, you know, again, we only have this set of tires till the end, Evan, as the caution comes out.
Caution comes out, and everybody gets back going relatively quickly, so we'll try to find the truck that went around. It looks like it was the 06 of Gerald Campbell. Another single truck spin that collects another couple of victims. He was side by side. Great fight in a battle for 7th with Tyler Dalton. The truck just broke sideways, and he snapped it back up the hill and kind of pinched John Theodore, who gets a little bit of damage. So certainly more than one truck involved in this, but again, another incident stemming from a single truck spin. That's a yellow, lap 140.
Yeah, and again, just a different kind of track we got going on here. So each driver has their own line into the corner, and you know, you get on the gas a little too early on that bottom side or on that any kind of lane, and it just gets a little crazy. So, you know, you see the 06 of Jared Campbell just losing it off the corner, collects a couple cars. Unfortunately, just innocent bystanders, but everybody seems to be okay, Evan.
They certainly seem to be okay at this very moment. Let's take a quick peek top to bottom with a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game, with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. Working lap 142, your Pulse and Matt Cucker still in control. It's Andrew Fayash, Jeremy Adams, Josh Dietz, and Gabe Wood. Through the top 5, Austin Coop right now P6, Tyler Dalton 7th, John Theodore is 8th, Gary Sexton where he started to P9, and Donnie McNaughton's up 9 spots in 10th.
P11, right where he started, Jared Campbell, the one that recently brought off the caution, Matthew Murphy, P12, Derek Paulson, P13, P14, Reese Bam, Todd Novosad, 15th, and your last driver on the lead lap, Ricky Harden, P16, P17, goes to Tom Morano, P18, Bo Givens, P19, William Kemp, Jeremy Watkins, P20.
Continue on through 21st position and out of this race. The rest of these cars are behind the wall. It's Brad Carpenter 21st, Will Trevicki 22nd, with Paul Henley 23rd. 24th is Billy Tungate and John Lade all the way at the back in P25. Is your current running order as the lights go on top of the pace car. That was a quick peek top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. This restart comes 106 laps still to go. Round 15 of the APS Truck Series at LSR TV. Green flag in the air. Looked like a little bit of tire spin for all your race leaders that time. But we get back off the way, it's going to be Cucker 1, Fayash 2 again.
Yeah, that's going to be an increasing problem on restarts. Josh Dietz having the same problem that he was earlier on in this race. He gets a little bit sideways going into that corner, maybe a little bit too hard on the brakes. Has to adjust how he's braking into this corner if he wants to stay straight and he doesn't want to go around in front of the field. He's holding up the two people behind him, Austin Coop, Jeremy Adams going side by side, 3 wide, down the front straightaway now. Still 3 wide going into turn number 1. Evan, this is absolute insanity.
And it's going to be Coop through the middle. Gabe Wood almost squeezed himself into that 89 and 9 sandwich, backed out of it. So that's going to come to a close as a caution flag behind 2 trucks involved. Matthew Murphy in the 87 machine. I'll tell you what, P10 has just been a spoiled, rotten place to be, and Matthew Murphy gets sent by John McDonough on that one.
Yeah, and you know, these drivers just continue to battle hard. We saw 3 wide already, and you know, just sometimes you're going to get into a rough spot that you can't really get out of. So, you know, you just got to hope for the best, and unfortunately it doesn't work out for some people.
Doesn't always work out, and it was a very spirited late race dive, certainly down to the inside of the racetrack on that one. So we'll see, and there it is, confirmation from the tower that the end of the longest line of penalties is going to be assessed to the 3 of John McDonough, so he will slide on to the back of the 15-car grid. Not necessarily the end of the world, of course. You don't want to cause an incident because, as we've seen with a couple of drivers already tonight, Trevin, you cost 2, and you are parked for the rest of the night, but you'll only drop 4 spots, so I presume it could be worse.
Yeah, it could always be worse, Evan, but, you know, 16 cars still on the lead lap. Still got a good amount of cars left in this session, so every single driver still fighting for their lives and still fighting for every single position that they can get. Gotta love some great action here at South Boston. We don't usually run here again, and, you know, we're still producing a lot of great action.
And I thought the lights would have been off that last time by. It looks like they'll go out this time as the car comes back and around. The other thing is here, as they actually stay on, so we got at least 1 more lap around, Trevin, is even if you're getting the, you know, the normal 3, 4, 5 trips around the racetrack under caution flag conditions, your caution flag lap times are still 33 seconds. So for these drivers, yeah, they might have a lot of caution flags, but you don't get that downtime that you might expect where you know, you almost get a little bit bored maybe long in caution laps. I think it's more frustrating for your race leaders because it's very quick. It's over in, you know, 2 minutes, maybe tops, and you're already right back to a restart. So you're certainly not spending a lot of time under the yellow.
Yeah, again, you know, 0.4 of a mile here, you know, less than half a mile. So these drivers continue to just pull around this track even under caution, as you were saying. So, you know, not a lot of reset time to happen here, not a lot of time to stretch out or anything really, as we're about to go back to green flag racing.
Flag racing going to resume again. Inside now of 100 laps to go from South Boston Speedway. A restart for Matt Conker continues to be tried and tested and continues to answer the call. Again, it's he and then Fash. 1-2 off the corner. Jeremy Adams has also done a very good job of holding down the 3rd on the last couple of these ones. That means the fight's going to be for 4th. Austin Coop down low. Not a good run off of the corner. Here comes Gabe Wood on the outside.
And Andrew Fayash was looking to that inside again. That's really where he's preferring, looking up at that top spot. He's getting to that quarter panel, but Matt Cucker just getting such a great drive off the quarter. You see him keep on driving it in so close, almost contact, a little bit of contact as Andrew Fayash gets a little bit sideways, but able to hold on to it going down the backstretch. Doesn't really lose a lot of time. He's just going to try and set himself up for another pass and continue to press at it.
Just continue to kind of hammer down, and eventually maybe you're able to wear down that resiliency for the other driver. But I can promise you, Austin Coop, Gabe Wood, 2 drivers know each other very well. Neither of them want to lose the bragging rights post-race to fall off of this position to one another. But I think Gabe Wood's starting to get it a hook up on the outside of the racetrack. He got him in clear. Gabe Wood takes over the number 4 position, and now your concern as Austin Coop is, I can't get pinned down here because Josh Dietz has gone to the outside. So now it's side by side for 5th. If this one turns out the same way, Tyler Dalton, I'm sure, going to be chomping at the bits to get to the outside of the racetrack as well. So Austin Coop certainly getting real desperate here. The 19-minute mistake, though, I'd almost think better for the 53 to back off this spot, just tuck back in line before somebody else is able to catch back up to you when you're running 2x2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Josh Dietz again, spins in front of him, big heavy contact.
Josh Dietz, we were watching that fight, and you could see the back end of that truck. It's so tail happy. He tried to hang on to it, came back down, and he did tag Austin Coop. Coop is going to get some damage in this one, but it's Sedan who goes up and destroys the outside wall, and that might just end his night. Big issues for Josh Dietz.
Yeah, and you know, we saw him trying so hard to keep that truck under control, lap after lap, turn after turn, but unfortunately, it just got too much for him to handle. You know, just the slightest little contact or, you know, slightest little bit of sideways you'd get, and then you just overcorrect, and unfortunately, ended his, I'm pretty sure it's going to end his night because there's continuous smoke to blow out of his motor.
Unfortunately for him also, it comes on the wrong side of that brake. There is no other 5-minute intermission, if you will, on the horizon for you to simply just come back down to the pit lane and try to get some of it fixed. You could always just park it down on the pit lane, get it fixed the old-fashioned way. It'll take a while, but certainly that could be a race-ending issue for Josh Dietz as he limps that truck to pit road, and you can see the plume of smoke down there not looking good. Sometimes it looks a lot worse than it actually is, so we'll hold final judgment until we see what happens and if Dietz is able to get back onto the racetrack, but he'll certainly lose at least the lead lap, and you know, you start to dig yourself in a hole that it's going to be difficult to get out of.
Yeah, and you know, each driver is just trying so hard. I'm sure he's going to go a lap down, so that's going to leave 14 drivers up in contention still. The closest one, other than Josh Dietz, will be 11 laps down, and that's Gary Sexton. So, you know, it's really hard to get a lap back, especially on a track like Sobo. So, you know, these drivers just have to continue to press. You know, 14 drivers still on the lead lap. It's going to get closer and closer to, you know, single digits. So each driver going to try and fight for their life. The last one on the lead lap, that is Ricky Harden.
Yeah, Harden right now is slid down there. He's had a little bit of a rough go tonight. He was never really able to dig out of the depths of that 21st starting position, and unfortunately for him, has kind of been back into where all of that chaos has been for the better part of the night. And even though he's just by nature of cars dropping out of this race, been able to jump up and into the number 14 position, still doesn't look like he's in a position to be able to make much of that count. Again, remains to be seen. Starting to get down to the end of this race, certainly, but there is plenty of time for a lot to happen here this evening from South Boston to Virginia. Pace car back down, and a little bit of a better jump that time for Fayash. He actually had a nose in front for a brief moment, but again, you just can't get that speed first time through, especially on the inside. And Matt Kunker still your race leader.
And we've seen this in previous races where Andrew Fayash saved his tires and was able to contend for that win. So, you know, he was still up in that front pack, but he was saving his tires so much, and, you know, he just came out of nowhere and continued to press for that lead. So we'll see if he's saving those tires for later, as the 89 of Jeremy Adams and Austin Cooper battling side by side for that position. A little bit of contact. Everybody's still able to make it clean okay, and Tyler Dalton looking for that position as well. He's in that catbird seat.
Yeah, Dalton's got a great view of that fight as Austin Coop just about had it cleared, and I don't know if he thought he was clear and that's why he pushed up at the 89, or if he just got tired and is going to get into him again. The 89 machine of Adams spins at a corner number 2, and there is the caution, second piece of contact in that battle for 4th or 5th. And again, it's the slightest bit of a push up the racetrack for Austin Coop, and again, if you're in the 89 of Adams, not really giving Coop much room by design, obviously trying to squeeze him a little bit there, and Coop steps up that half a foot, and unfortunately they didn't save that one.
No, absolutely not. And, you know, again, you know, just the slightest bit of contact can upset this truck so easily that you just go into that inside wall. Thankfully, people were able to avoid that within, you know, within reason. So, you know, these drivers just need to continue to press on and, you know, then just continue, as Austin Coop will be given the EOL penalty for that incident. You know, they were battling back and forth pretty good. Unfortunately, Tyler Dalton was in that unfortunate spot. He was in a good spot to watch all this battling going on, and if something did happen, he was in a good spot, but unfortunately, the 89 of Jeremy Adams just went right in front of him.
Yeah, it's in, again, that wall being right there on the inside of the racetrack doesn't make things any easier at all either, so it just kind of makes the issue a lot worse that racetracks like this, even a place like New Smyrna, the bullring tracks we'll go to later on, you have a space in between when that banking goes to the apron or the flat of the track. There's a little bit of a buffer here. Even as we pace, you can see that's about as wide as it gets right there. Maybe a truck width, and it's only down at that end of the racetrack, and the wall picks itself right back up there, right on the inside. So There's practically no apron here besides for that one lane or so, half a lane really down at this end of the racetrack that you see in the center of the corner. It gets really tight on the straights though, certainly.
Yeah, without a doubt, Evan, and coming into the straights, you gotta watch out. Again, you have those tire barriers right there. You think you're clear of them, and then they just come out and grab you. And we haven't seen that yet tonight, but it certainly has happened here before, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it if it happened here tonight. And you just see right here coming to that front straightaway, you see how much that jets out right there. You just got to be careful from that. But if you try to go maybe 3 wide in that, and it's just going to end bad. So just have to watch out for that. But John Theodore inside the top 10 right now, 6th place actually. So good run by him.
Restart due up. The real interesting change to track here is what's going on row 2. It's now Gabe Wood and Tyler Dalton. That seems to be the most exciting battle for position, and most of it's decided based on if you get the inside or the outside on every single restart. Green flag back of the air, 173 down. Should be 77 laps still to go total distance from South Boston. And Cucker pulls from Fayash again, and Gabe Wood in a real position for the first time in a good little while here to get back into 3rd spot, and he's got it. The 19 kind of tries to hang on, and he finally puts him away.
And John Theodore still looking for more position. As you guys see, these drivers go below that yellow line. They're trying to help their truck rotate going into that corner, try to get them a better exit coming off the corner. As you see Tyler Dalton getting a little bit sideways. 88 Gabe Wood using a lot of that apron in the beginning of that turn to help rotate that truck, using it up to his advantage as the 19 trying to close that gap. This battle going on really great.
Battle going on continues to certainly be an exciting one, with Theodore Campbell doing action further back at the pack. Battles for 11th into so Matthew Murphy, Austin Coop penalized for causing that most recent caution flag. But he's trying to get back up to the pack. He passes up Murphy for 11th. So a long charge still to the front, but certainly making moves early to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, and now that we got single filed out for the most part up front, Gabriel Wood is not able to catch Andrew Fayash and Matt Cucker. They've been able to pull away from that 88 machine and the number 19 machine, so that just gives a testament to how strong these trucks are.
Yeah, how tough they are. Certainly it really fit, I think, for a racetrack like this. We talk about how kind of unconventional it is to see them here. We were talking with some of the drivers post-race Gateway a week ago, and I really like the concept of coming back to where you used to see the NASCAR Truck Series at on some of these bigger, or the shorter racetracks, but without these bigger trucks that you have on the current generation of the Silverados and the Tundras on the iRacing surface. It's an interesting dynamic, but they got the fenders. They're tough. They might be a little bit thick, but it's tons of fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers just continue to use different lines. It's such a great race here. Andrew Fayash still using that bottom line. Matt Cucker holding tough on that top line as we were interviewing him earlier, wanting to stay on that top line. Really working out for him, but getting such a great run off the corner. Andrew Fayash trying to give him everything that he has, still pulling away from Tyler Dalton now, gotten past for that lead. Something happened to Gabriel Wood.
Yeah, we'll see what the issue is with Gabe Wood. He was running up towards the front. He actually came down to the pit lane. A couple of laps ago, he spun on the pit road as we watch a battle for the race lead. Fayash again on the bottom, and Matt Cucker on the outside to get even. But the 16, oh, there it is, the 77 of Fayash. How did they not wreck? The 77 snapped aggressively up the hill, got into Cucker, and somehow they are still 1 and 2.
Fantastic racing by Andrew Fayash, able to keep that truck under him. He's going to have to settle back in, bounce back strong, and be able to get up to that back bumper, Matt Cucker. Once again, he's done it before, and he'll be able to do it again.
And just to finish that update on Gabe Wood spun out of turn 4 and right down to the pit lane. So he had to drive around, and he had his black flag for, I assume, speeding into the pit lane entry cleared by race control, but he did have to go all the way around at pace speed before rejoining the racetrack. So Gabe Wood's lucky he's still on the lead lap. He falls, though, all the way down to 13th and dead last on the lead lap. After before that incident, running much closer to the front of the field in what was, I believe, off of the restart, 3rd spot, which tied his race high position. So that's a mistake that I'm not sure you're going to have an opportunity to come back from. Austin Coop even struggling to get back to the field from his penalty from the last caution flag. He's been able to get back up to P10, but with 60 laps to go the next time around, that's not a lot of time to go bottom to top, even if it's quote-unquote only 13 trucks. A lot of fast trucks in between you and the guys up front.
Yeah, and the lap traffic that Matt Cucker is having to deal with now is let Andrew Fayash catch up to that back bumper. So he's going to, capitalize on his, learning from his mistakes and hopefully, be a better executing through the corners. And Matt Cucker is going to have to try and find a way to defend his position.
And the 77 of Fayash, as you said, has done a very good job of keeping it with Matt Cucker all night. And if he's able to, the 69 did take a hit, surely, but Cucker, I think, was so close to the wall that it really didn't affect him. The 77's the one who got way sideways, locked it up, had to get back onto the gas, dropped at least 6-7 car lengths, Trevin, I'd say, by the time they first went back down and got into the corner. He's not back to where he was yet, constantly getting side by side, but the fact that he's been able to close in that distance, get to within the truck length, tells me Fayash has a truck that has to be able to contend with Matt Cucker. If that's the case, again, is he conserving the tires? We think Matt was concerned about that when we chatted with him at the midway race break. They know how these tires are going to act after roughly 125 laps. So I'm curious if Fayash is getting to Cucker and simply can't pass him, or the fact that he caught back up to him just like that tells me that he's kind of cherry picking at a moment.
Yeah, and you just have to make sure that your tires are going to be there for the end of the race. I'm sure Andrew Fayash just now wants to, saw that his truck got sideways so much and did such a great job saving that truck. He probably used a lot of tires right there too. So he just needs to make sure that he's going to stay behind Matt Cucker. He's going to be able to contend for that spot. You see him running that high line as well. Not really trying to contend with him a little bit, but we'll see if that changes as it does. Just as I say that now, side by side for that race lead, going down the backstretch, still able to be with him. You see a little bit of a bobble coming out of the 77 of Andrew Fayash. Now he's using that apron to his advantage. Got to watch out for that tire barrier. Make sure he doesn't do the same thing that he does again. He's really gaining on him going through the corners, Evan.
Yeah, he's able to get alongside him. It's just off the corner where he struggles. And even when he was behind him, it's not like Fayash is only going side by side for the sake of, Matt Cucker's taking away the preferred line. Fayash was able to catch back up on that relatively lower line. I think as you see another slide there off of the corner, the real struggle for running that bottom groove is the fact that you just can't get back to the gas because that truck's going to be there off the corner. So you have to be able to hook it about a lane off of the wall to leave room for that truck topside. That's the biggest struggle, I think, for the 77 when he gets alongside him. He can get there, sure, but he can't pass him, and to be honest, hasn't really gotten close to passing him.
Yeah, and I think what you got to do to pass him is either capitalize on a mistake, got to make sure you keep that pressure on, or give him the good old chrome horn. But I don't think we'll be seeing that within another 40 laps or so. So we'll see how that goes. So close to that quarter panel, and we've seen it time and time again. You just get one little bump on one wrong spot, and that truck will go around. So I'm sure he doesn't want to do that. I'm sure he wants to race him clean. But there's a point where it comes down to it, where you just got to end up going into that corner, and hopefully it sticks.
And we'll see if we get to that point where maybe he starts to push the 69 up a little bit. Awfully close that time off of the corner. If there's two drivers that got faith in the race this close and this tight on one another for so long and avoid incident, it's certainly the Matt Cucker, Andrew Fayash duo, two very experienced drivers, not only that we've seen here within CEA, but really across all forms and disciplines on the iRacing service entirely. But that 77's getting awfully sideways off of the corner. If I'm Matt Cucker, I'm like, listen, I'm giving it the inside. Please don't spin up and hit me on the outside of the racetrack. That they got away with it once. I'm not sure you can get away with a similar mistake a second time. I don't think you got that many mulligans in your back pocket.
No, absolutely not. Your luck will run out eventually. So, especially at a short track like this. So you just got to battle back, and hopefully, luck does go your way as the number 77 completely misses that corner, or he's running a completely different line that we haven't seen all night. You see him running up above that line that Matt Cucker is running, so maybe it is a completely different line. He's just breaking it hard into that corner, trying to get a little bit of a better run off the corner to contend with Matt Cucker, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
certainly mixing it up. He is no longer on that inside line that he has pretty much been faithful to through the now 100 laps or so that we've been able to pick up after, actually, well, we've been with this race for now about 150 laps, and when we stepped in a little bit late there, Fayash was in P2 doing this exact same thing. Nothing has changed, 1 and 2. I'm curious if Fayash has even had an opportunity to lead at the start-finish line a single time this evening. It always seems to be just that half a truck length knotted up. And now working, Trevor, what I believe, and again, 13 trucks in the lead lap. You expect that to happen as the race winds down. Less trucks are in it, more green flag laps, but I believe, not to jinx it, probably will, though, that we're on the longest green flag run of the night, coming to 40 to go.
Yes, we are indeed, Evan. So these drivers are for sure feeling it, you know, just going through every single corner every couple of seconds, making sure that their trucks are staying straight for the most part. And I'd like to point out Gabriel Wood getting a few positions back up into that top 10, recovering nicely from his incident that he had earlier on.
Yeah, certainly recovering to be able to get back up at a P8, and in the process, again, actually passing up Austin Coop, who had an issue earlier, and who had actually appeared to be having a better time making up spots. They flip-flopped, and it's been Coop who's fallen backwards. Good battle right now, though. Challenge is going to be for P4, and Gerald Campbell's using the racetrack and then some, but it's not going to work out. He really missed the corner exit of 4 that last time, lost a lot of speed, and John Bignaka from behind in P6 now. Going to fly out the inside, so it's not going to be for 4th. It'll be behind for P5 and 6.
And we're still side by side. Jared Campbell threw everything that he had at John Theodore, but now he's sideways. Jared Campbell back up into the outside wall of turn number 1 and 2. Unfortunate time to be there, Evan.
Well, there was that battle we were watching. The 3 machine was a little bit late turning down into the corner, and Gerald Campbell, again, we're on the outside like that. You're so susceptible to any bit of contact knocking you up and into the wall that there was really nothing that I thought Campbell could have done there. As soon as the contact was done, that truck was going around.
Yeah, absolutely. Wrong place, wrong time. But, you know, again, you know, just running different lines into this corners and onto this track, these drivers just need to know where they are on the track and how hard they can run into the corner. Unfortunately, just got a little bit too overzealous into that corner and got up into the 06 of Jared Campbell.
To bring out a yellow, and something tells me that we're probably not going to see another stint of 35, 34 laps to go in this race. I don't think that's all going to come under green flag conditions. If you've been hanging back and holding on to anything over the course of this race, I think it's time for the gloves to come off.
Yeah, especially for Andrew Fayash. He just needs to get a great restart against Matt Cucker. He's been so dominant on the restarts. Andrew Fayash needs to make sure that he has no tire spin and is able to predict when Matt Cucker hits that gas pedal and it goes back green. But the people behind him is who we have to worry about, because they have really everything to give to get more positions up. You know, going into that turn number 1, we've seen 3 wide, we've even seen 4 wide into the corner. So, you know, these drivers are not even going to give an inch to anybody, because it is coming down to the closing laps of this race. So every driver going to try and get what they can on restarts.
And this is the point where we typically go over the conversation. Do we see pit stops? Do you stay out? But there's no tires down there for you, so you got to work with what you got. Gabe Wood was able to get back at the P6. Could he somehow get back into the top 5, maybe even the top 3? And you have to wonder just how many restarts now Matt Cucker's going to have to deal with. Trevor, he had to go through the motions a lot at the midway break. Lights immediately back out on top of the pace car. It'll be 31 laps to go from Sobo. Something tells me he's going to have to do it a few times.
Yeah, he will. And, you know, these drivers are the best of the best. Really clean racing for the most part all night long, and always putting on a great show for the fans.
Pace car headed down this time, side by side on the front row. It's been the way it has been for the past dozen restarts. Matt Carter to the outside, a Fayash to the inside, a green flag flies, and 1 and 2 clear down to the corner.
And I'm sure Fayash really didn't want to see that, but John Theodore and Tyler Dalton get into a little bit of a skirmish coming off of turn number 2, going into turn number 3, still side by side. Gabriel Wood in the catbird seat between them two, now up inside the top 5. What a recovery by that number 88 machine, trying not to get into the back bumper of John Theodore as they go side by side again, still going down that back stretch, Evan.
Still going side by side down the back straightaway Theodore on the outside, now going to lose out as it is Tyler Dalton. Started this race in second, but it's been a while since he's been this high on the scoring pylon. The SMS Chevrolet back into P3 for the first time in a good little while, and here comes Gabe Wood. Might have squeezed Theodore a little bit, but he'll force his way through and take over P4.
What a phenomenal effort done by Gabriel Wood. You know, we saw him going down the pit road, but now he's contending for that top spot, and we'll see if he can get to him coming into turn number 2 down the back stretch, Evan.
Down the back straightaway they go once more. The battle I think you got to keep an eye on is certainly Wood trying to get up to Dalton. There's fighting for the back of the back. It's Austin Coop at a 53 and in and out of Jeremy Adams. That one's for 7th and 8th, so Coop's certainly not giving up, sticking to that bottom line that he said when we chatted with him halfway through was going to be where he planned on sticking for the course of the race, so he has not completely given up. Battle for the race lead, though. Matt Cucker got into the outside wall at the line, and Fayash is on him. They're going to be contact out of 2. They're going at it for the race lead inside of 25 laps to go, and this time at the line, Fayash leads in front of Cucker as they stay 2 by 2.
And I'm sure Fayash is so happy finally leading a lap here at Sobo. Matt Cucker trying to battle back on that outside line. This is everything that I love about short track racing. You have one little slip up and another car is right there to give you a run for your money. Matt Cucker still going at it, still trying to give everything that he's got. A little bit of contact that we had a few laps ago, but everything is clean so far. Still side by side, Evan. This is amazing running, amazing racing to the finish.
And it looks like Cucker was doing his best to try to stay on the door. The 70-70 went wide that time in 1 and 2, and there she goes. Andrew Fayash may have been able to conserve for long enough because he looked like a completely different man on the inside that time. Not that they made it look easy. Matt Cucker gave him everything he could handle, and they stretched that side-by-side out for about 5 laps, but Fayash did clear and now has sole possession of the race lead for the first time this evening. Now for Matt Cucker, you cannot let that 77 get away. You got to keep it within the truck length, and if you're going to plan on getting by, do it sooner rather than later, even if it means going to the bumper early.
Yeah, absolutely. You see him, Matt Cucker, just continuously show him that bumper in the rearview mirror, trying to give everything that he can. And while that was happening, Gabriel Wood was able to get up to that 3rd place position, and that interval is closing down. He was 1.3 last lap. He is 1.2 now. So we'll see what happens at the end of this race, Evan.
I don't think Wood's going to be able to get to them. We'll see if anything comes from this, but I think Matt Cucker's better when he's on that medium to lower line. The outside has not been very nice to him. He's gone way wide 2 times on quarter entry, and both of those times he has lost to ground. Right there when he gets way up the hill, it just hasn't been working for him. He gets a good run off of the quarter, but Fayash can get that run off the quarter without going that high, and all of a sudden, there's 2 truck lengths in between your race leaders.
Yeah, and now the roles have reversed. Matt Cucker is trying everything that he can, and Andrew Fayash is running that same line. And, you know, Matt Cucker is just trying to give everything that he can, trying to take notes from what Andrew Fayash is doing, maybe trying to change it up as well. You know, that would have just been so heartbreaking to see him, you know, one little mistake cost you your whole entire race. So, you know, these drivers just need to make sure that they're trying to give everything that they got. And Matt Cucker still diving it down so deep, trying to give everything that he can to Andrew Fayash.
Going to give him everything he can, and he's keeping him within distance. He's lost that truck length or so. He gets close that time, but I think Fayash has a little bit of a better truck now. Certainly Cucker having to force the issue, which is why I said if you got to go to the bumper, you got to do what you got to do. Gabe Wood stagnated at about 1.2 seconds off. It looks like it is going to be all Fayash and Cucker to the end of this race, assuming that we don't have another late race restart that mixes it up. Meanwhile, we're 3 wide, back in 7th spot. Austin Coop spins, and there's that yellow.
Evan, you just jinxed it again. But this is going to be one heck of a restart, Evan.
Look at the replay. The 87, I think, wanted to go low. It was battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I think Matthew Murphy looked back, saw Jeremy Adams come flying it in. He therefore stayed middle, whereas Coop, thinking he was going to go down on the racetrack, practically just drove into the quarter panel, spun out sideways, and right there into the tires at the start of that back straightaway wall brings out that ever so elusive caution. And now It'll be a restart inside of 10 laps to go. Maybe a breath of fresh air for Matt Kucker. He may be forced, though, to restart on the inside. If Fayash, being the control truck, wants to go up top, that would be the first time we've seen that. But Gabe Wood, Trevin, was holding an even distance, which means he's about even on speed with them. He was just at a deficit. If Gabe Wood can spin down pit road, come back and catch up within the final 75 and put on a challenge for the race win, would be one of the better late race rides we've seen in quite some time.
It would be an amazing finish to the end. You know, really 3 drivers contending for this. Maybe Tyler Dalton into that mix, maybe John Theodore, but really it's going to be hard to pass if you're from 6th on back up for that race lead. So we'll see what happens. And really, this is the only attempt that we're going to have until we go to overtime. So, you know, these drivers just need to make sure that they know where they're at. They know how many laps they have left. And really, we're going to have to see what drivers have conserved their tires up until this point, Evan. I'm really excited for this finish, and we'll see what happens.
We'll certainly see what happens. As good of an opportunity as any to remind you that coverage of the CEA American Pool Supply Truck Series is brought to you by American Pool Supply. American Pool Supply is a wholesale distributor of pool and landscaping products. They serve pool maintenance, resorts, and apartment complexes, even HOAs, in the Las Vegas area. You can learn more by visiting them on Facebook at American Pool Supply LV for more information. So big thanks to them for making this American Pool Supply Truck Series possible with our friends over at the Championship Esports Association. As always, we do have an opportunity, if it is so required, to go a little bit of extra distance. If overtime is necessary, we're not there yet. The race car is going to head in. It is going to be a restart with 7 laps to go from South Boston. Are we in for another fantastic APS Truck Series finish on a Sunday night on LSR TV on the iRacing Sports Network? Fayash topside, a lot of tire spin, and here comes Kucker to the inside, side by side through quarter 2.
Matt Kucker not wanting to give up anything, as we have a battle as well going on for P2. You know, there's battles going on all over, but Matt Kucker giving everything that we have in, caution out.
Caution flag, gonna fly. Looks like those trucks are already back out and rolling. Trying to find the truck in which that all came from. It was the 06 driven to Gerald Campbell. A little bit of a tap from behind from the 3 of McNaughton, and that's as easy as it is.
Yeah, again, you know, just right tap, wrong place, and, you know, truck goes around and unfortunately, you know, gets them into the wall a second time, and, you know, you just got to make sure that you're going to be able to continue to, you know, press on, not really give up.
And I think just based on the timing of this one, it's not technically going to be overtime, but this is either going to be, I think, a 2 or a 1 lap shootout, and you could kind of consider it as the unofficial first attempt. Again, you get to the white flag. We're going to race this one out to the end. And I actually think the timing of this one, Trevin, puts us in a position where the chances of this race finishing under green flag conditions without the need of overtime is pretty high.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be an exciting finish for sure. There's going to be a lot of guys battling it out. You know, we might even see the bumper going into a turn. And, you know, I'm just really excited to see what Matt Kucker has for Andrew Fayash and maybe what even Gabe Wood has for both of those drivers, and see maybe if both of them get involved in something, and you know, who comes out after that.
That's the question, and certainly if you're Fayash, as they appear to be swapped up this time with Fayash on the inside of the racetrack, and Matt Kucker now therefore getting the outside, which may play into the 69's favor, because if you remember when he was in control of these restarts, he selected that outside as the groove that he wanted to be in. So maybe Fayash prefers the bottom. Kucker therefore gets the top side, which he may favor, and this could just set up to be a fantastic finish from South Boston. Lights on the pace car are out, Trevin. It's going to be a 1 lap shootout.
I'm not sure what to think of this, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fireworks. You got me really excited for this one, Evan.
Fireworks are going to come in about 1.5 laps. Let's see if we've got any before we get to the checkered flag. A pace car headed in for the final time from South Boston Speedway. It's Fayash on the inside, Cocker on the outside. Green flag in the air. It's a good jump for the 77. Fayash leads to turn 1, but there's the bump and run. The 69 tries to get to the inside, can't do it. He'll have to send to turn number 3. The 77 leaves the lane outside, and he'll get enough runoff for the corner. Andrew Fayash as Cocker spins, and they all crash behind. Fayash takes it in the final 20 laps of this race and holds on to win the South Boston 250.
What a finish by Andrew Fayash and Matt Cocker and a Gabriel Wood. That was an amazing race. I love short track action, and you know, South Boston has really lived up to its name.
As Fayash gets to celebrating, Trevor, you saw Cocker go right to the bumper in turn 1, got to him but didn't move him up enough, and then in turn number 3 he tried to drive it hard to the inside again. Fayash saw that, took that far outside line so Cocker couldn't get near him, and you could see how hard the 69 was digging as he was all kinds of sideways off the corner, and Fayash was able to avoid him.
Matt Cocker left everything out on that track. He gave it all he had going into that corner. Gave him enough of the bumper, but just didn't really have enough for him, and you know, really unfortunate for Matt Cocker. Had a strong run all night, but you know, when it came down to it, Andrew Fayash just had a better car.
A better car would have mattered the most, and the 77's getting to some celebrating. Your happy race winner tonight from South Boston. We'll let him continue with that. Eventually, he'll make his way down to victory lane. We'll catch up with the top finishers and recap round 15 of the season. So we step aside. The LSR TV post-race show is next. You've been watching LSR TV's continuing coverage of the Championship Esports Association American Full Supply Truck Series on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back to Sobo in a moment.
Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerrick at the line.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV, and it may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Hi, I'm Michael Conti, driver of the number 5 4-front Chevy, and you're watching iRacing Live.
And back live from the South Boston Speedway, you're tuned into the LSR TV post-race show, part of LSR TV's coverage of the CEA American Full Supply Truck Series on the iRacing Esports Network. I want to remind you that in order to catch all of the APS Truck Series action, as well as Cars eSport Tour and all of iRacing's World Championship Series, make sure you are subscribed right here on the all-new iRacing Esports Network. Turn on the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any of the action on your new home of LSR TV. We'll be trackside in a moment to talk with the drivers as we welcome you back into the booth. Evan Pasoko, Trevin Valderrama with you with Cisco Scaramuza downstairs. First, we look top to bottom. This is your LSR TV full race rundown. Fayash with the trip to victory laid Matt Cucker pole to P2. Maybe a tough pill to swallow, but still a good night overall for the driver of the 60 machine. And Gabe Wood with the incredible climb back to P3. They are all standing by with us momentarily. Tyler Dalton and Jeremy Adams, 4th and 5th on the racetrack at the end of it all. Ricky Harden is a big pickup, your biggest mover of the evening, 15 positions gained to end in P6. John Theodore comes home 7th tonight. John Bignaka in 8th spot, Derek Paulson 9th, and Matthew Murphy in P10.
P11 will go to Reese Bayham. P12 will go to Austin Coop, who started P3, so not really a good night for him, but Jared Campbell, P13, and last car on the lead lap. William Kemp will go to P14, P15, Todd Novosad, P16, Josh Dietz, P17, Jeremy Watkins, Gary Sexton, P18, P19, Tom Morano, and P20 will go to Bo Givens, P21, Paul Henley, P22, Brad Carpenter, P23, Will Dravicki, P24, Billy Tungate, and rounding out your 25 car field that took the green flag will be John Lyday.
To look top to bottom at your LSR TV full race results. Go trackside and get a word with the driver of the number 77 machine. It is Andrew Fayash tonight from South Boston. Andrew, congratulations on the win. We'll get to the course of these 250 laps in just a second here, but a couple of late race yellows and a 1 lap to go shootout with Matt breathing down your neck as you guys sent it off to 1 and 2. Tell us about that final lap.
Oh, man. Well, the one thing I was hoping was that I raced him clean the whole night, and I had many opportunities to just take up that little bit extra room, and I didn't. And I was hoping he'd have the same respect back. And I've raced him before, and 90% of the time he will. He'll race you how you race him, and he gave me a little bump there. I don't think he even was trying to give me the bump there, really. I think he was just trying to peek under me, take a tighter line, and luckily he didn't upset the truck at that point. I wasn't on the throttle yet, so it didn't step the back out at all. And I don't know, man. I had how many restarts where I was a second place truck, and I think I timed one of them decent, and that one I think I went too early, so I backed out of it because I didn't want to win it like that. And then not the last restart, but the one before that, the first time he had to restart in second, he timed it perfect on me, and so that's why I switched lanes on the last one. I just figured I'd mix it up on him so he couldn't get into a groove with it.
Yeah, I think you probably restarted this race in P2 probably more times than the laps that you guys actually led in this race, but there was a point there towards the end of this one where you got a little bit out of shape. You got up into him in the left rear quarter panel, and you guys were able to hang on. There was no caution. You dropped back a couple of truck lengths, and we were kind of thinking that if those trucks were as even as they looked, that kind of might have been it for you, but you were able to get back up to him. It looked like fairly quickly, so that maybe tipped us off that 77 machine had race-winning speed in it. So when you were on him, was it just that difficult to complete a pass at the inside, or was it more of just trying to apply a constant amount of pressure while also conserving tires to finally make your charge there late when you got to the inside and finally made it work?
At first I wasn't sure why he was running the line he was running. I talked to him just a little bit before this interview, and he said he couldn't run the bottom like I was. So the whole race, I thought he was just running the middle to top, the line he was running to save his tires, but I guess he wasn't. And when I finally saw him start getting a little bit loose, I realized he wasn't saving his tires. He was still running hard too. But I at that point, I knew I was faster because I had run him down once or twice earlier, and it was just the hardest part was that the line he was running, it left the bottom wide open for me, which makes setting up a pass real easy, but completing the pass was really difficult because the line he'd run, his lowest point in the corner was just before the exit. And that's when my truck's going to be starting to go up the hill. And even I think once we made contact there, so even if I tried to use him up or tried to run him just as tight as he was running me, because they were so loose on throttle, that would just get me sideways. So I didn't know what to do to really run him any harder without just wrecking myself, really. So I just kept after it and hoped he'd make a mistake here or there, and he really wasn't often.
This is a racetrack that we had been looking forward to for a good little bit of time. A lot of the drivers last week at Gateway excited for this one, kind of the old school track that you'd see the trucks on. Certainly, though, with this generation of these trucks, a little bit out of the ordinary to see them at a racetrack this small. We go to places like Irwindale later on this year. New Smyrna got a little bit more space. So how did you feel like Sovo reached out to you guys over the course of those 250 laps?
I was surprised how wide of a line we were able to run. I've run here in the trucks before, but not since before dynamic tracks were out. I mean, it was probably a year or two before that. And I've had some great races here. I love this track. I think even with a high-powered vehicle, with a lot of wheel spin like this thing, it's still an amazing track to race on. Multi-groove and all that. And I was just surprised that I kept trying all kinds of weird lines to see if I could maybe get to his outside at some point, try something different. And it seemed like no matter what weird line you tried, if you hit it right, it was still quick, which is just a huge pat on the back to iRacing for the dynamic tracks and the way they seem to wear in. It does make passing really hard, though, because that means, there isn't... Normally, if there's one preferred lane, if you can set somebody up and be in that lane, you're going to complete the pass. But now, since there's no exact preferred lane and they're all good if you run them right, it's extremely hard to complete a pass.
The three starts in for you guys. Nothing outside of the top five, and now a win in this American Pool Supply Truck Series. You having fun on Sundays?
Oh yeah, I'm really enjoying this place. I think this week might have been a bit bad, but it's there were a couple yellows there, but it's Sobo. That can happen, and for how hard it was to pass, it was more likely and how loose we were out. So we just we just played the cards we were dealt there, and just had to all deal with it as best we could, and worked out for me, I guess.
Certainly did, as you take home this South Boston 250. We'll let you dip out of here. Before we do, though, we got you the sponsors, the shout-outs, the folks behind the scenes. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, I got to give a shout-out to Todd Kirkwood and the guys over at Sim Marketing Solutions for all their hard work. They've been keeping me busy here between peak and this stuff, and getting sponsors on the car and keeping it going. So definitely shout out to them. Shout out to this league for putting it on, running short track trucks. I've missed short track trucks, and I'm really glad to be back in a league that does this combo, because it's always fun. And of course, you guys for broadcasting as well.
The excitement will continue next time out as we head to Richmond. But Andrew, we appreciate your time post-race here this evening. Congratulations on the race win. Hopefully, for your sake, it's the first of many, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you. I do also want to mention, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I forgot what day of the week it was, and I only showed up with 5 minutes left in warm-up here. So I spent all of qualifying. I just kept doing laps. That was my practice.
You qualified P4, so I think it worked out pretty good for you. Richmond will be another short track. I mean, it's a short track, but when you compare it to this, I guess not really. But it should be a fun one, Andrew. We look forward to catching you then, and maybe we'll be chatting again there.
All right, Evan, thank you.
77 Machine comes out on top this evening. That's your race winner tonight, Andrew Fayash III. Matt Kunker led a lot of this race, but not at the very end. He comes home second, and Trevin is with the driver of the 69 Machine.
Starting from P1 on the grid and taking a lot of laps under his belt. Unfortunately, came up a little bit short. Matt, we talked to you at the halfway point. You said you like to run that high line, but running that high line eventually got you into that wall and set Andrew Fayash up for a great pass along that inside line. So how are you going to be able to bounce back from that?
Yeah, first off, hats off to Andrew on that. I mean, he was keeping me on my toes the whole time, and I caught the wall, and it was just enough that he could sneak under me. I mean, it was all my fault, and there's nothing I can't say. He hit me. He ran me clean the whole time. I don't even think he bumped me when we went down the straightaway. It was just all hard, clean racing, and I screwed up. So hats off to him on getting a win. And, yeah, it just wasn't our night. I mean, we led a lot of laps. I think it was 225 in all, but, hey, that's all right. That's part of racing.
Absolutely, and those final restarts that you got to set up right next to him. Really, what was going through your mind, knowing that maybe you had another shot, maybe you didn't?
Well, when I had the inside, he took the outside on that restart right before the final restart. I was thinking, all right, well, we could try some stuff down here. I don't know how he was making it work the whole night. I mean, he was flying down there, and every time I go down there, I just lose ground. So I could not get the bottom, and I figured, you know what, we're going to take some brake bias out, and we're going to try to roll the bottom a little bit better. And it kind of worked, and then the yellow came out, so I didn't get to see if it was actually going to pay off or not. But that last restart when I was on the outside of him, I knew it was over because the jump, it's just you get too much of a jump on the inside, and especially with him being so good on the inside, he had me cleared by the start-finish line. So there was nothing I could do. I was just along for the ride, and I didn't want to wreck him, so we just went for it all coming off turn 4.
It was a very exciting race indeed, and really exciting finish. But coming now into these next few weeks, you have Richmond, Eldora, and then Canada Motorsports Park, 3 different unique tracks that you're going to be going to. Really, how are you going to be able to adjust to all those?
Honestly, the Sunday night racing, it's either hit or miss for me. I mean, I don't think I've done all that many races on a Sunday, but if I'm home, I'll be able to do it. If not, well, then I won't be here. So I mean, it'll be hit or miss when we do race, and I mean, if I do get to race the dirt one or the door, I ain't gonna be too good. I suck at dirt, so the asphalt's what I'll stick to.
Absolutely, and before we let you go, any sponsor shout-outs? Who gets it done for that number 69 machine?
I gotta thank Team Vincier, Peterson Irrigation, 6-Man Race Cars, Turn 3 Auto Transport, and everyone for watching at home for a great race, and you guys and Kyle Barnes for putting the show on all together this week.
All right, thank you very much. And that was the number 69 Matt Cucker finishing P2. Now up next we have the number 88 of Gabriel Wood, who had a fantastic bounce back after a little bit of an incident going down pit road. Gabriel, talk us through what happened.
I can't really. I'm really surprised, because it was so hard to pass all night, and then after that happened, I actually got lucky with the way that I actually spun, because I started to get sideways in 3, and it just stepped out, and I saw pit road. I'm like, if I try and save this, I'm probably going to overcorrect it. So I just headed down pit road, and thankfully Kyle cleared my black flag. I was able to get back underway, and then under green, we went about 40 laps, and I was able to catch the guys back up and made it up to 8th, which was lucky because that ended up putting me in 6th after the 2 guys were involved in that wreck, and that put me in a great position. So I caught a lot of lucky breaks after that.
Yeah, it was fantastic to see you run up through the field and, starting P3 on those final restarts. What was really, going through your head? What was really starting to be that mindset? Like, how am I going to get past Andrew Fayesh and Matt Cucker after seeing they were so dominant all night long?
I'll be honest. It was none of my intention to pass them. I saw how they were racing all night, and I knew that they were faster than me, and I knew it was only going to cause trouble for me and my back bumper if, I was able to get past those guys or even get sideways with them. So I really just focused on beating Tyler Dalton, which I was better than him on the bottom than he was on the top for the restart, so I was able to get past him. So I knew if he was able to start 4th, I was able to beat him. But when it came down to that 1-lap restart, what really saved me was Andrew taking the inside lane, because I was able to kind of time a restart off of him and stay to the inside and was able to beat the 19 coming to 3rd. That was really all I wanted. I really just had fun all night watching Andrew and Matt race it out for the win.
And we had a lot of fun watching you guys race as well. But, coming in tonight, it was a big circled event for us on this calendar, and I'm sure a lot of you guys as well. And, how was it, just a different kind of track that we had for these trucks, and, such a thin straightaway, and I'm sure it was really hard on those tires.
Tires, not so much. The tires felt really good, especially coming to that halfway break, because I didn't really know what the car was going to do, so I kind of babied them. And, when we got to the halfway break, they felt really good. But the second run, I kind of ran a little bit harder, just, knowing and expecting what the tires would do. But the setup was really good. Kyle and the guys did a really good job, putting together a setup that we could race and a rules package that we could race with. And the only bad thing was you couldn't really push it on entry because the car would just start to step out from you. The back end would start bouncing, and you start to lose grip, and that was the only real problem with it. I mean, the car, the setup was great. It was just you need to put a little more front brake into it to start charging the corners later in the run.
All right, before we let you go, are there any sponsors or shout-outs? Who gets it done for that number 88 machine?
I don't really have any real sponsors. I just like to thank the people that help us out on the ARCA Racing Series side with the team that I work on, the Double H Ranch and Ohio Ag Equipment. Ohio Ag Equipment's a big supporter of Rick Clifton. He runs a lot of ARCA races, and Clifton Trucking, and Double H Ranch. It's a charity up in New York. They're formerly a hole-in-the-wall camp, and it's a serious fun camp now. And they founded by Paul Newman. If you guys want to donate to them, they help a lot of kids. It's almost like the Victory Junction Gang Camp, but up in the Northeast in New York, up in upstate New York. So, check them out online, Double H Ranch. Really just supporting them this year, donating half or more, depending on how much I make this year, of all my racing winnings to them.
All right, that was your third place finisher, the number 88 of Gabriel Woods. Thank you very much for stopping by.
I heard that.
That's your top 3 finishers. Big thanks to Andrew Fayash, Matt Kunker, Gabe Woods for joining us here on the LSR TV post-race side of things. And Trevin, after a couple of weeks of some Truck Series action, finally a week off before we return to Richmond in 2 weeks' time. But if you were a fan of the really short side of things here tonight at Sobo, plenty of action with you still to come later this year. Some of the bigger short tracks like Richmond, of course, and Martinsville coming up, but you've got places like the Bullring and New Smyrna, Irwindale on the calendar. So if you like racing on the short tracks and you like some Truck Series action, we've got plenty for you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it just goes along. Again, we're talking a lot about this season, a different kind of, schedule away from your traditional Truck Series racing. I'm really now excited to see what it's like here at Irwindale and at the Bullring. It's going to be exciting races from here on out, and it's only going to get more intense.
And I guess I should say, as we step aside, and that wraps it up for us here from South Boston. F1 went on a little bit of a summer break here as of today. They've got a few weeks off. We've got a few days off, though. We get to hang out until we're back next Sunday. So nothing else until the start of next week before we get right back into the full swing of things on your upcoming race calendar. You can find that full broadcast schedule on our website at livesimracing.com. And also keep up to date with us on social media by liking us on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official, and by following us on Twitter at LSRTV for more information. On behalf of the entire team at LSR TV, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Trevin Valderrama, our executive producer, Cisco Scaramuza, everybody else behind the scenes who makes it happen night in and night out in the booth, of course, for Kyle Barnes, everybody else at the Championship Esports Association for making this possible. On behalf of all of us, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Andrew Fayash III. He's a winner on Sunday nights in the CEA Truck Series. As noted, next Sunday is off, but the series will be back on August the 12th from the Richmond Raceway. That race and every race of the 2018 CEA American Bull Supply Truck Series can be found right here at LSR TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Until next time, good night from Sobo.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.